So welcome back to Living the Sky Life. I'm excited to have my good friend Malinda-Dalton-Cook on from, gosh, I should name all the things, but Autism Masterminds. That's still the name of your podcast, right? You and Vanessa do? Yes. And Melinda hails from California, and she's been on numerous times just to talk all things autism with our adulting kids. Skylar and Paige, her daughter, are a year apart. And so I invited Melinda on again to talk to me a little bit about Paige aging out of services in this aging out series, because this is her last year in her programs at school. So Melinda, what do you have planned for yourself and for Paige? The $1 million question.
I know, right? The $1 million question. Yeah. And you need $1 million is the key point.
More than that.
Thanks for having me back on again. I feel like I have like a recurring role on your podcast.
Yes, you do. It's always like these topics too. Like, what are we going to do now?
Yeah, what are we going to do now? And it's hard to navigate. So yes, so Paige is 21. The state of California, when you age out of the adult system or the day program system through the school district, it's 22. So she turns 22 in March, but she gets to finish out the school year. So she'll be finished with the school year in June of 2024. So we have about 10 months, 10, 11 months. So basically in a panic for the past few years, trying to figure out what are we going to do? Like, what does your life look like? And I've asked her, she spells and she has some words, but she's not going to have a conversation with me on what she wants to do for the rest of her life. So I know what her likes are and her dislikes are. So I've been trying to mentally build a program and kind of do some trial and error stuff now to see like what we want to do. So that's where I'm at now. And it was sad because she just started at the end of August back to school. And I'm like, oh, look, this is your last day. It was just weird. And everybody at the school is like, oh no, too soon. Because it's a great place. Is it perfect? Of course not. But she's been there 11 years. They all know her. I know that stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. Not going every single day, because I drop her off, pick her up. I know everything that's going on at that school. I know all the people, and they're very nice. So now I started last year. I'm trying to navigate what we're going to do. So would you like me to break that down?
Well, yeah, but to go back, a lot of people that have been on the podcast have mentioned things like, I know my child likes music. I know my child loves to be in the kitchen. I know. And how did you get to that place with Paige? I mean, I'm sure it took many years for you to just kind of trial and error and figure out, oh, she actually likes to be in the kitchen with me. She likes to do some of these things. Because I still feel like at 20 years old, I really don't know what Skylar likes other than Elmo. I don't know what he likes to do with himself, his hands, his time, his, whatever. So how did you get there?
Mainly from observation and, like you said, trial and error. And I would be in the kitchen a lot of things, because Paige has so many food allergies. So I would have her help me in the kitchen at a very young age, and doing every aspect of the kitchen. And I know that she doesn't like to do the preparation, but she'll like chop vegetables and things like that. She's more of a person that wants to be like the true chef and cook the meats and season the dishes and stuff like that. So I'm like her sous chef and she's the chef.
Well, that's cool. I mean, really, does she like to cook more than bake, or is it even?
We do some baking, but yeah, I just to cook. And I have, so my thing is there's 3 of us. My husband, Chad, myself, and Paige. So there's, we're a tiny family. So I started buying those meal services.
Yeah, we do that too.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people do. And so I pick and choose each week because they're not allergy friendly.
Yes.
but you can look to see, there's like organic ones and everything. Anyway, but it's the easiest way to get your child to cook, to show them how to cook. And we go through those recipes, and I take out the stuff that she's allergic to.
Right.
And that's how we prepare for the recipes. We start by going on the computer, looking at what they have to offer each week. And I mean, there's different, sometimes I mess up and I like 4 different companies coming to the house, but that's whatever. So, and then now she knows. So we look on the computer, we pick our meals. And then the box arrives. She unpacks the box. We freeze all the meats. And then we schedule out on a calendar, like what day we're going to make the particular dish. So we have it all separated in the refrigerator. And then we take out the dish each day. And I say, okay, let's, prepare a station. I try to teach her, like, for years, she's been like, wipe the table down, these little things. So it's like, I kind of went through what a typical child would do for, chores at their age. So I have her, wipe the table down, or, sweep the floor, those kind of things. So, and were they perfect? Of course not. Was it hard? Did it take lots of different trials and lots of different modifications? Yes. So now she knows to wipe the counter down, to get all her stuff prepared first, and then we go in and we cook. Does she get bored and not want to wait for it? Of course she does. So it's like, but that's, to me, that's the easiest way to get to see, one, if your kid wants to cook anything, and two, see if they, there's so many things that you can teach with just those little meals that come in the mail. So many things, nutrition, and she's, buying, I'm using air quotes, buying the meals. So she's putting in my credit card number. She's doing in all of those things.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm teaching her that. So, and that's the thing too, is you can get at her school, they go grocery shopping. So they go grocery shopping, their food. And she has a debit card that now it's Go Henry that she uses. The other one I had an issue with, and I'm not going to mention them because I'll never recommend them to anybody.
Then you should tell us who they are so we don't use them.
Oh, no, yeah, I know. Well, I will say I used Green Light when they first came out, and I referred tons of people to this company, and we used them for, it had to have been like 7 years maybe. And so, and it was only like at her school, and in the summertime, I would give the card to whoever her respite provider was and say, okay, eat lunch. And it's great because you see what the transactions are. You can put, money in her account, and just a small amount of money. And then you can turn the card off, turn it on, that kind of thing. And it doesn't have her social security number or anything. So it doesn't hurt any of the benefits that she gets through the government.
Gotcha.
So long story short, it was our bank got bought out by another bank. So I changed the banking
info. Yeah.
And they made the biggest deal about it. If this company was some federal government company with high security, like, then I would expect that. But I said to him, I go, it's just a debit card it's like using a gift card. And so all these months of back and forth. And I said, this is dumb. I said, can you just cancel this account and send me the remaining balance of the account? So they did. So I said, this is crazy.
It's more work than it needs to be.
Way more work than it needs to be. And I said, you're not like a real bank. You're not a real bank. There's limits to how much money you can put. Anyway, I'm done with them. So now I'm
switched and you're happy. Well, good.
Semi-happy because it still has issues where I have to, now give cash to the school because the credit card won't work, or Paige puts the PIN number in wrong. And I don't know. Anyway, long story short.
Well, it's still good independent skills. I wish Skylar's program took them into the community, but they don't, and they can't. They say they can't, and I'm like, man, the last couple of years, it would have been really helpful if he had
Yeah.
gotten that during the day. He's tired of sitting in his same room just by himself with with the RBT and just
Yeah.
doing more goals and
Yeah.
taking more pecs and whatever. Oh my God, he's 20 years old.
I know. And that's the part I feel horrible. And Paige goes out in the community a little bit. And when she's at home with us, I feel bad that like we're not going anywhere on the weekend sometimes because it's hard. And so how I found out how she liked to do different things is trial and error. And also
Right.
we did this thing called person-centered planning.
Yes.
So we did that. And I just wrote down everything that I thought she liked. And we went from there. So now, and I can tell like she, there's things that she'll tolerate and do. And then there's things that she loves to do. So I know for now, what she likes to do and what she doesn't. There's minimal restaurants she can go to because of the allergies, but so we started doing, and here's something maybe that you can try with Skylar. We started doing food with friends on Friday. So Paige has a caregiver come in and pick her up, and then she goes and picks up the other friend, and they go to a restaurant. So they're learning like how to order and how to pay and all that kind of stuff. Plus they're among their peers that are the same age as them. So, and it started out with just the provider and Paige trying to get her used to it. And then now she goes out with 2 or 3 kids on Fridays.
That's cool. I think step one for us would have to be find a caregiver, first of all. That's not me.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but no, that's a good idea.
So you could find somebody at Skylar's school and, the other parent, and hopefully they'd be willing to do it and say, hey, let's try it. Let's go out. And Vanessa and I just recorded with someone that was so cool. He has a center in California, and they've been around for 60 years. And during the pandemic, of course, the residential homes had to be open still, right? And so they were trying to think outside the box of ways that you can that they could still go out in the community without going out in the community during the pandemic. So they brought in a food truck.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That's neat.
So I thought that was really cool. So I said to Vanessa, I said, all of our kids are having hard times going in restaurants or being around people. I said, how cool would it be if you and I set up some food trucks to come, and parents could come, the kids could come, they can purchase their food, they can sit in their car and eat, they can open their trunk and eat, they can kind of do that. So at least they're around their peers, even though they're not in a restaurant with all the noise and the chaos that happens in a restaurant. And you can just leave if something happens.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about setting something like
that.
I
love that. Yeah.
That would be fun.
Well, so like, what are some of the things that you have kind of jotted down as ideas? Obviously, we know that all of our plans are going to be fluid, and they're always going to be changing perhaps, but I think that's been my biggest worry is just trying to make sure that the 8 hours that he's at his autism center now, that I feel like I have to fill that 8-hour time block and keep him moving. And I mean, that's just not realistic. I think that would be great, maybe the first week, and then I'm going to be exhausted and he's going to be tired of spending his entire day with me. So how do you kind of wrestle with that? Like, not overwhelm her, but to come up with some ideas.
I know Paige's limits, and Paige's limits are 1 outing a day. So she'll do 1 outing a day, and it depends. It's how I think about it is we get up in the morning, and of course I'm up early making all of her stuff, and she insists on having a shower each day, so that's fun.
Well, that's good though. At least she doesn't want to not shower.
It's good. But it's I'm up early getting everything ready, and I said to Chad, I said, this is dumb. So I'm the one getting up super early. I said I should be the one getting up in the morning, taking care of myself, and then waking Paige up and she can make her own breakfast. She can, take her shower. I still have to help her with that, but she can do that. And then, I've been accommodating her way too long. Like
Right.
I need
I'm
to have her
guilty. Yeah.
make her own stuff. And, maybe and then throughout the day, I mean, I would just, with her, I don't like to make it a strict schedule because I want to be like that. And if something is wrong with the schedule, I don't want her to freak out about it or have a behavior because something wasn't correct on the schedule. So over the years, I said, let's change it up. Change it up. Like, oops, today this is closed. We're going to have to pick a new place to go because that happens. It happened. And thankfully, during the pandemic, we've done that for so many years that she was like, okay, that
That's
she
good.
couldn't go into the place. And then we just did it, like everybody pivoted to different things. And, now we order on the app, or, now we order and pick it up or whatever and not go there. So for her, the day would look like her making her own breakfast, gather. And this is the hardest part I'm working on right now, is she thinks that once she eats that we're gone, that we get to go somewhere. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. It could be 6 o'clock in the morning. And she's like, okay, let's go do our thing. And I have to tell her, like, it's not open yet. And that's the hardest part. Like, that's the hardest part, is like, okay, we're going to set the timer for 4 hours from now, but let's do something else. And honestly, by like 11 a.m., I'm exhausted already.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah.
With doing stuff. So anyway, so hopefully her day looks, making her own breakfast, maybe doing her laundry, like kind of some life skills things that she can do, having downtime, like, being on the computer or iPad or whatever, and then going out, deciding what we're going to do for the day, going out, maybe it's a hike, maybe it's, the zoo or something that's, and I'm a big fan of like age appropriate stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's like, I know she doesn't like mini golf. So I'm like, we're not going to go there, but she does like the games, and they have a place here that they have like go-karts or whatever. She likes that. So we can go, to one of those type of places. Maybe we go to the movies, and then maybe we have lunch, that kind of thing. And then we come home, and she has a hard time with transitions. So that's, so she runs around, does her thing. And then I'd say probably like from 3 o'clock until I make dinner, she kind of hangs out by herself. And that's the part where I start feeling guilty that, she's not doing anything productive. And someone once told me that their teenager does that. They just sit on their phone, or they're on their computer, or they watch Netflix or whatever. And then we'll make dinner. And then the same thing after dinner, it's like, it's a free for all. You can do whatever you want. So I thought, okay, let's read a book. Let's, do an art project. Let's do a science project, like that kind of thing. And, people were telling me, no, she doesn't want to do that.
Right. I'm so glad you said that too, because I feel like I'm guilty of that also. Like feeling guilty that I'm not always stimulating him, because since he was 2 and 3 years old, he's had revolving doors of therapists, or I'm driving him to a therapy, or I'm, introducing spelling or doing something else. And I'm his communication partner, like you are with Paige. And I feel like the time that we're not doing anything, he's losing. I still have that mentality, like when he was little, like, oh, I'm wasting time. If he's not doing this soon, he's probably not gonna. And I know that that's not true. I mean, I have 20 years of it with him, and talked to so many other parents that all of those timeline things are bogus. And like, you should never give absolutes to when they're going to do stuff. And I'm trying in the last few years, especially now that Kendall's in college, to the amount of times that Josh and I would say, oh my God, is she sleeping again? Like she's in her room napping, or like in the middle of a Saturday afternoon, she gets up at noon, and then at 4 o'clock, she's back in her bed. And I'm like, man, what a waste of a day. But I'm like, God, Skylar's only 2 years older than her. He's still technically like a teenager, young adult anyway. He probably doesn't want to do anything either. Like he probably just enjoys resting. And so do I want to too. I'm exhausted. So it's just wrestling with what you just said. It's just like, I feel like I'm letting him down if I'm not doing stuff with him and teaching him. But it's probably the opposite. He's probably getting more irritated with me the more I force upon him. And he's just like, I just want to watch Elmo, Mom. Like, I don't want to do anywhere.
Bring me some snacks, Mother.
Yeah. It's just
I mean,
never.
I do. I think that parent guilt is with any child. You think you need to tell them something, or they need to do something more. Or it's like, get up, Kendall. Don't you want to take on this day? It's a beautiful day, but now it's dark.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's different, and she has the rest of her life to do whatever.
I know.
Those things. And that's what I have to try to tell myself, that Paige has the rest of her life to try new things and do things. But yeah, I'm the same. It's like, I feel like I need to entertain all the time. And I feel bad if I do something for myself. And that's why I was telling you before we started recording that this year I turned 50, and I said, this is ridiculous. I drop Paige off at school. I come home and I, do household stuff. And then I do podcast stuff. And then I do Paige's Pantry stuff. And I don't do anything for myself. So I said, this is dumb.
You only have one life to live too.
Exactly. And so I said, forget it. I'm going to start doing things. So long story short, with Paige's Pantry, we lost a lot of the farms. So now we're going to have to try a new way of doing things with Paige's Pantry. So we might, this is my thought right now, is I'm going to still have the nonprofit, but turn it into an adult day program where it's family run, and we have providers and stuff that are in our kids go places each day, kind of similar to the school setting that she does now. But I'm like, that's just so much work.
I'm just like, you just said, like, you're already flooded and you have no time for yourself. I mean, it's a huge undertaking, but it's parents like you and so many others that I know who develop these programs or build these housing things like Jess is doing, and all of this stuff, because no one's doing it for us, or, we have to do it.
They gave me a list of programs for adult programs for Paige for next year. And I looked at some of them, and I said, none of these fit her. And the waiting lists are extremely long. So she wouldn't even get into them next year.
Who gave you that? The school gave you that? The resource? The regional center. That's right. You guys have that in California. Well, like, what are some of the things on the list that it's just a generic list, it sounds like, that they just give to everyone who's aging out?
List of day programs that are around. And I mean, the list is long, maybe, 20, 25 programs, but it's just a generic list. So you don't know like what kinds of clients they take, until you call or you look them up online. And to me, it's like a lot of them, they just sit in a room all day. And how fun is that? That's not fun.
No.
That's not a quality of life for Paige. So if I could take something and build it, then I can offer it to other families, or offer the model that I use to other families. And we get we've talked about it before, self-determination funding here from regional. So Paige will get more funding when she doesn't have a program. So I would take the amount of money that they would pay for a program, and I could use it for something else. So, but I need to be vendored with them. Hence the nonprofit that I already have would work perfectly. I mean, I'd have to do some paperwork, but I could vendor with them, and at least I could try to get funding, and I can get what do you call it? Grants and things, because like a day program. But I mean, it all takes time. But my thought was maybe have Paige and one other student, or maybe 3 to start with, and each month the parents get together and they say, okay, my kid likes to do these 5 things, and then Paige likes to do these 5 things, and then the other kid likes to do these 5 things. Let's make a calendar of the things we want to do for our kids, and we can each pardon me, each month, we'll change it up a little bit, but like say, Mondays they go to the library, and Tuesdays they go and they go to the library and they go shopping for like lunch items. Tuesday they go to the library, or not I just said library, or Tuesday they go like on a hike or something, and then alternatives if it's raining or whatever. Wednesdays they go horseback riding. Thursdays they do community service. Friday is they go to the gym and they do something else. So it's like a program that would run from like say 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. But each week they would have a similar schedule, but we would change things up so it wasn't rigid, So it's doable. The problem is the parents willing to participate so that we have equal participation, and the funding to find a place, because I don't want to burden anybody by having them meet at their home. I want to have a space where if it's too hot, if it's raining and stuff, we have, a couple of, doesn't have to be huge, a couple of computers and maybe a sensory area for them, just so they have a landing space in the morning. Like it's like they're going to school, but they're going out for the day. Something like that, like a landing space for them. So far that's the vision that I see for Paige and maybe a couple other kids. And then, hey, and if it takes off, then we can have more and more families come in and into the program, depending. And it also depends on, the needs of the kids, but we can figure that part out, because it's hard. Nobody wants to take kids that are difficult or have a little bit more issues or aren't speakers, or speak alternatively. They don't want to take those kids because it's a little harder. So I want to, build a program and also take a lot of data on that, saying that, yes, they can be a part of the community. Our goal is to have them out in the community and be a part of, our community around us. Why not, and other people see that they're capable of doing things. They just might need a little bit more help doing them, so that's where I'm at right now. Is I'm trying to navigate that whole new world. And I'm sure there's going to be setbacks and stuff, but
but there's going to be no matter what, with pretty much anything. It sounds like a ideal model, and again, kind of going back to parent run things, it seems like even with living arrangements outside of your home, your day program sounds a lot like shared living, which I just kind of learned about from Betsy that was on. And that sounds more like what we're going to probably have to do when it comes to living arrangements or even day program things. Like the shared living model is basically like you and I, if our kids were very similar in communication and needs and all of those things, we would jointly get a home together, buy a home or something close to our houses, and we would take turns as parents checking in, and they each have their own caregiver or whatever they would need, and we run it, and then they pay their rent with their SSI money or whatever funding they have. And instead of going to a publicly owned, state-owned facility or things like that, or a group home where we have zero control over anything, it sounds like I would love to have a shared living arrangement, and then also caregivers that take our kids into the community, just like you said, and incorporate the day programming part of it, so they're not sitting in their house all day either, and doing those things together. Where I struggle, and I'm sure a lot of people listening would struggle too, is the needs are so different. Like it's so hard to find somebody that's willing to take Skylar out in the community and give us a break, and take him to the library and have the patience, because he's not toilet trained, to take him to the restroom and do those kind of things outside of being a caregiver for him, just to spend some time with him, and taking him places. So I didn't have to set up a 6-hour day, 5-hour day, every day of the week, 7 days a week, for him, because he can't communicate very clearly yet, spelling, and he does need additional help with every skill, eating and all that stuff. So I still feel so isolated. I thought we would have gotten maybe over this a little bit as he's aged, but he's the population that people just don't want to,
Yeah. And so,
volunteer to help.
right.
So,
And that's the thing with all these, the government run agencies. And I mean, there's program like this, the program Paige is in at school. It's all disabilities, but here's the thing. They don't want to deal with the high need kids, longevity, so it's like, it's easier just to take the other clients on.
mhm,
And, and someone was telling me like, oh, we should have one of those programs where it's, I don't understand why they're building all these retirement communities, like beautiful retirement things.
mhm,
We don't understand why they can't do that for our kids. And I said, one, at a retirement community, they know that their time is limited there. For our kids, they would be there for decades.
mhm.
Their needs might change. And you
Yeah,
can't have certain clients in with other clients.
right.
That's the hard part. With, I'm sure there's circumstances, but with, people going into these retirement communities, that's it. They know how they're going to be. Maybe they might have, some, disability, like aging disability, like, Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that, but they are equipped to deal with that. A lot of people aren't equipped to deal with our kids, or they don't get paid enough to do so.
Right. Well, that's usually the biggest thing is they don't get paid
Yeah,
enough to do
that's
so.
you have to, like, to be in this industry, you have to have a kind heart and be doing it for more than the money, for
Mhm,
sure. You know, so, and I mean, there's programs, there's supported living. You can do supported living. So a lot of people around here buy homes and
mhm,
use supported living and have their kid move into their house, and they're supported 24 hours a day. I know two parents right now that just did that. Do they have to do shifts because there's lack of staff? Yeah, they do. They'll do a shift or two here and there. But that's the thing, is a lot of it, that's a hard reach for some of our families. I mean,
mhm.
not everybody can go out and buy a home.
Right.
Not, and I mean, yes, you can, maybe you can find similar, like you were just saying, like similar clients and do like a shared living experience, but and that's hard. Well, I mean, maybe not in other states, but here it's very difficult. It would be very difficult to find something that could accommodate our kids.
That's not
Because
$2
it's,
million for a
yeah,
tiny little
tiny
studio
little,
size house.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, you can get funding. You
Yeah.
can get government funding for sure. But so that part would be okay. But then it's still, you still have all those things, the supplemental things that you still have to pay for. It's like, oh, I'm gonna, she's gonna rely on, Paige is gonna rely on $1,000 a month that she gets from SSI for like
Yeah.
clothing, food, and all that stuff. That's unrealistic.
No.
That she would never be able to go anywhere or do anything because there would be no funds for that.
Right.
That's the hard part now, that parents, when their kids are aging, and that's why there's people that are elderly, the parent, and their kids are, there's parents in their 80s, 90s, and their kids are 60 and 70, and they're still living at home with them.
Mhm.
Because it's, maybe funding, maybe they want to, I don't know, but it's hard. I don't know. I think every family is different, and every family has to look and see what their needs are.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
for us, we're not, I mean, we bought our house for Paige, but I said to Chad, I go, where are we gonna go? And
She's
it's
gonna
like,
let you live with her, maybe.
but it's like, I mean, I know I want someday maybe to have her independence, but I can't give up that control yet.
Yeah. Oh, I understand that
That's the
completely.
hardest part. Even if I had cameras in every single room, I'd still, and plus I've been doing it for so long. It's like, how do you adjust to that? Just me
Mhm.
personally. I know other people that are like, bye, see ya. So, so it's like, it's just hard for me personally to like
Mhm.
let go of the control. And that's what happens too with a lot of um, group homes and things. It's like you're giving them control of every aspect of that your child's life and you have like no say. You have to like make appointments to see your own kid.
Mm-hmm. That's where I'm going to struggle too if we end up going that route. And mine's just, besides the control, because I think most special needs parents would say that they're controlling. If they weren't before, they are now. This only exacerbated mine because I've always been controlling, because that's just how I cope with things.
And
I like to.
Virgo. We're both
yes,
Virgos.
yes, and I'm very OCD and organized and all the things that go along with it. But I just worry about the emotional component that Sylvia, your very good friend and my friend now too, she is one of the first people who gave it to me in a different perspective and said, just like your daughter, he probably wants to live life outside of, under your umbrella all the time, and you're always doing everything for him. So he deserves an opportunity to try. And then, people have also said to me, have you thought about how you may feel like it's his best interest to stay with you, but it's kind of selfish, because should something happen unexpectedly to you and your husband, he's going to get plucked out of this house and placed wherever in whatever state has an availability for him. He won't know anybody, anything. And, how is that fair? So I see both sides of it. I just never want him to think that I am throwing up my hands and just saying like, buddy, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You're going to have to live somewhere else, that I gave up on him. I don't want him to ever think that, but no, I also don't want him to be stuck either without me.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the thing, is I think about it too. Some days I think about it like, oh, it would be like she's going to college. She can come back at any time. Or, like you're starting out in life and you rent an apartment with a friend, and that's what it's like. So, I mean, maybe someday that I'll get there, but right now, I mean, it's like, funding wise and things, it's like we're living together for a little while until, but a lot of kids thrive when they're not with their parents,
Yeah.
And so Paige might love it. She might love it, but I mean, I'd probably be hard pressed to find a caregiver who wants to be up at all hours with her.
Yeah. I think that's, you started out somewhat in the beginning talking about, this is the year of Malinda. Yeah. Like kind of getting your like self-care and just, your time back a little bit. How do you envision that? I mean, besides, having her get a little more independence and trying to do things for herself first to give you a little bit more time, are you getting better at leaving and like going, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to go do whatever I want to do, and she's okay without you at every second? Or how do you get that time in?
I mean, I started out by going on a vacation for 12 days, which Chad said, I think a week would be better.
Yeah, I don't think you ever are going to do that again. It was Ireland. You couldn't go for like overnight. It's not like you could just get there and come back.
And I mean, we had a really good time, and we went to Ireland and London, and there was 7 of us. And are there things that I could have probably done better? Yeah, but whatever. It was fun. It was fun.
Everyone survived.
It was weird because like I could sleep like in a bed for a long period of time. That was strange. And and then like just little things, like just having nobody going through my stuff, like those kind of things. But so when I got back, I was like, wow, it was a long time to me. It felt like a long time. But after we passed day 7, I think, I said, I could stay longer. Like in my mind, I was like, I could stay longer. I wouldn't feel bad if I didn't go home, put it that way. Right. So then that got me thinking like, oh, if they're doing okay at home. And I mean, I prepped for months for Paige.
Well, you have to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we had 3 providers. Chad had to take off work, and I cooked all the meals. I did all the medications, everything, every clothing, all the details. Right. And I joke with Chad all the time. I go, yeah, you could just get up and go. If you wanted to go on a vacation, you could just like walk out the door. It's like, I have to do like all this prep work. But anyway, so they had, she survived obviously, but it was a little bit too long, I think, for Chad, because he's like, this is hard. and, not only taking care of Paige, but doing the stuff in the house, and he had help. So I think if I had someone looking,
no, I'm just kidding. I love Chad. So I said, wah, Chad.
yeah. But and what, some days I felt bad, but it's, I said to him, I go, hey, there's going to be one of the providers is going to say one of the days something will happen. She'll either be sick or she'll, have an appointment or something. And sure enough, she did. I go, because she can't work like more than 3 days in a row without having some kind of issue. But that's just her. So then he calls me and he's like, yep. And we just laughed about the whole thing. So Chad and I, we've been together for 30 years. So like we understand each other. But,
Yep.
So then when I came home, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start doing stuff for myself. So now I do. I go to Pilates 4 times a week.
Cool.
If I want to go out to lunch, I just go out to lunch, even if it's by myself. And, I've been doing a lot of, she's only been in school since August 16th. So not quite a month yet. And I've gone to lunches and breakfast and Pilates and little things like that. And I'm just expanding because next year, I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
So I kind of want to take advantage of this now while I can. And I should have been doing it for years. Right. I mean, of course I would go to lunches and stuff, but just doing like those little things for myself while she's gone to school. And I know that she's in a safe environment that I can go and do something. So.
And how do you feel? Like, I mean, are you just like, dang, this feels good. Like, I like this.
Yeah, it does. It's nice. It's also nice that, like, since the pantry is kind of on the back burner for a little bit, it's nice not having to, that was an everyday thing that I had to do.
Securing the food and
I had to do something. And then every Thursday and every Friday, my days that was it. So I used to have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to do things, for myself and plus do everything, household stuff or whatever. So now I have all week. I'm like, are you available for lunch this week? Hold on, let me look. Yep, I am.
Yes, I am. How did Paige do when you were in Ireland? Like when you got home, was she a little standoffish? Did she react to you being gone that long, or did she kind of not miss you? I mean, like, just was like, oh, you're back. Okay, cool.
Scared. Yeah, she's like, oh, there you are. And when Chad's gone for like work and stuff,
yeah,
she is like, Dad, and I'm like, yeah, he's not here, and
Tyler is the same way. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
all that we do, and that's who they're
the fun ones. They're the fun ones.
Yes.
Yeah, not that I was aware of. She really didn't care. And actually, I would say that when she was like an angel for Chad, but then when I got home, she started doing her usual stuff.
Yep.
So that's the thing though. It's like, I know she can survive when I'm not home. So maybe that is a sign that she can, if I find my goal for this year would be, or maybe the next couple of years, is to find a provider that like Chad and I can go somewhere and, maybe overnight or whatever, you know what I mean? Go on a vacation or something. We always say that we have to go separately because we had, a couple of years ago, an accident. So it's like, now it's like we can't be together.
Yeah.
The same, in traveling wise, we can't be together, but it's okay. So, I mean, I said to him, I go, I'll take one for the team and I'll go to Hawaii 3 days early.
Nice. Oh, geez.
I'll go early and then, you can meet me there and I won't do anything super fun.
I think that's probably a huge part of it, is that we as moms probably have a harder time cutting the cord from our kids. Because when I was in Australia with Kendall last year,
That's right.
I purposely told Josh when I left, like, because I was with Kendall, and I'm like, I don't want to know if things are going bad, like, because I already felt guilty going on this trip with my daughter, her graduation gift, whatever. Like, I mean, and the fact that he had to stay back and we couldn't go as a family, that just weighed on me heavily anyway. But I wanted to enjoy the trip with my daughter and not panic. And so, and I know just like Chad, just like any dad, he can handle it. He knows what meds he takes, when he takes them. He knows what foods he eats. I did all the food prepping and everything too. But I think it helped me to not know. But then part of me, when I got home, I was like, so nothing
What'd you do?
happened? And he's like, no, he was fine. And I'm like, you little turd. Because, when Josh is gone for one night for work, I swear hell breaks loose and he breaks things or I'm like, what is the deal?
It's funny that you say that because I said the same thing to Chad. Like anytime I'm away, I don't really talk to Chad unless like he needs something like, hey, where is this?
Yeah.
And plus it was like an 8-hour time difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That when he was, I would say like he would be starting his day when I was going to sleep for the night.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, hard too. But I think now I want to plan more trips because I would go on small trips, maybe a long weekend or like, a week. And even now it's like we're already planning another trip.
Well, that's good. I want to do more things together with Josh. That's honestly, that's my only, besides giving Skylar some independence away from me, like my only motivation for finding him either a caregiver for overnights or a place to live, even part of the time, like maybe he lives there during the week a couple of days and comes home on the weekends to us, whatever arrangement we can figure out. Because, when we retire soon and like just having a life, I don't want to do separate vacations anymore. I've done that. I'm tired of not enjoying things with my husband.
I know.
It's just not normal.
I know, right? And then when you get together and you do have like a date night or something, you're like, what do we talk about?
I know. We always talk about Skylar and Kendall.
Exactly. You always talk about things or like the family gossip or something.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you talk about. And then we've also got, I don't know if you guys are like this too, but we've gotten so used to staying at home and doing like home stuff, like watching.
We like to be at home, actually,
Would rather be at home than go out.
Yeah.
I said, oh wait, Paige is going out Friday. And it's like, where do you want to go? You want to go dinner? And he goes, okay. And I go, let's just order something and bring it back home.
Because the house is quiet. You don't have anybody to take care of.
I don't want to go out. I'm just going to sit down here. I'm just going to sit on the sofa for a while and just sit here and do 0%. 0% of I'm going to sit here and do it. So yeah. So I mean, for me, the adulthood is a little bit scary, and I have to stop having that mindset of like, this is it. Like this is it. Like I have to hurry up and figure out what she's going to do. And I told Vanessa the other day, I said, I feel selfish that I want to do stuff for myself. But then she's like, you shouldn't feel bad. And I go, I know I shouldn't feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
I have a life too, but I want to make sure that she's happy. And I don't want to be around 24/7 doing everything because it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Like having to do a whole day, having to do 24 hours without having a break, that's hard.
And for 21 years of it, it's just, that's when it hits me. It's like, not the fact that he's into adulthood now, but I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have lived the same life just as he has for 20 years. Like, and I don't know that I physically am capable, or mentally, probably more mentally than physically capable of doing another 20. Like it's a life sentence. I don't mean that as bad as it sounds, but it is. I mean, it's like, we don't get to punch in and out of a clock or take a vacation day or call in sick. We just kind of have to figure it out. So I never want to sound like, like I'm miserable and this just isn't fair. I don't live my life that way. I just am trying to be as prepared as I possibly can. And I appreciate the suggestions you've made and what I've learned from the guests. And that's why I hope that these episodes help other people too, because it's okay to not have it all figured out. I'm learning just from you guys that like, it's probably not best to have a schedule, because he's been working off of a schedule for 22 years in school and in his ABA programs and all those things. He might enjoy sleeping in or having some freedom or just walking around the house in his pajamas for an hour or two instead of being on the go. Maybe he thinks that's what is expected to do, because we've always just hopped in the car and gone to school and pick him up, and then we do dinner. And maybe I just let him kind of reset the schedule and just observe and see what he wants to do.
Well, plus it's good. It's good to talk through things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the podcast platform. It's great to talk through things, because a lot of people will listen and they'll say, wow, yeah, I'm going through the same thing. Oh crap, I have a 20, I have an 18-year-old. This is, I need to start thinking about this kind of thing, or just start talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like knowing that you're not alone, that there's other families out there. That's why I made that Autism Mastermind group, is because it's like, I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. I know I'll have these people forever.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. And relatable people.
Yeah, we just grow forever. I have a friend that she was actually on the trip with us, and she's the type of mom that keeps her son busy all the time. But she's like, she's the what did I call her? It's like she's the coordinator, like on the cruise ship.
Oh yeah.
All the agendas.
Cruise director.
Mm-hmm. Cruise director. She's the cruise director of her house. So, and she has him scheduled out all the time. And but that's what he likes.
And that works for them. Yeah.
For them. But it's so much work. It's a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That. And now it's like, I know that I drop Paige off at school and it's like, oh, I have 5 hours. What am I going to do? I need to do these things. But what else am I going to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I guess it seems like there's no wrong way to do it. And it sounds like the best kind of course of action is to just trial and error and observe your kid. And if they look like they're getting overwhelmed, back off and not do anything that's an activity. Like just go. Skylar does like go for walks. They mall walk in the winter and we walk outside in the summer, and
what's fascinating too is like, if you take your kids out in the community, even if you're just walking around the mall and you prompt them to say hi to the employees at the mall, then they get to know them and come to the mall. They'll be like, hey, Skylar, and just like a brief walking by. They do that, for Paige. One of Paige's friends is like so popular in our little community. And everybody knows him everywhere he goes, and it's the cutest thing ever. So it's like it makes him feel good. It makes the people feel good that they recognize him, and that's because the mom brought him everywhere in the community for years, and wasn't at home sitting there, and she's like, whatever, we're gonna come out and do stuff in the community. So here he is, and everybody loves him. Everybody knows him and loves him. It's the cutest thing.
That's so cute. When Skylar goes to every Saturday, Josh takes him to his favorite restaurant for his bunless cheeseburger and mashed potatoes meal. And when Josh was out of town, he was running a marathon, and I took Skylar that Saturday. Skylar allowed me to take him because it was his restaurant. But we walked in, and the one of the waitresses and one of the kitchen staff yelled out to the cooks in the kitchen, Skylar's here. He always sits in the same booth. It's like Norm from Cheers. For anyone who's old enough to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, they all know him, and we don't even put his order in. It's the same order every week, every time. And they just put it in the minute we walk in the door, and then they bring the food out to him. And I mean, he's a little king in that place. Yeah. I love it.
That's really cool. That is really cool. So,
yeah.
Encourage people to do that for sure. Just even one thing that you frequent all the time, so that the staff gets to know your kid. Hey, and if something goes wrong, and that's one more person that can help out.
Yeah. I mean, I ask Josh all the time, how do you go to the bathroom? Like if you have to get up and take him to the bathroom, or if you need to go to the bathroom, they know not to clear the table. Like they know that they're in the bathroom or whatever. They just know our routine, and they know him. And and it's got to make your child feel good when everyone knows them by name and says hi to them. So
we did that too. And one time, a long time ago, someone said to me, I said, oh, we need to go to the bathroom, but I don't want you to clear the table. I said, just put, like in a bar, just put your napkin on your drink, over your drink.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's I just learned something new.
That's the universal sign for don't take my stuff. I'm not finished. Yeah, it's like
See,
putting
this
a napkin on the beer or whatever.
these discussions teach so much more than just autism things.
Right. Now you know. Now you know if you're anywhere, you can just put your napkin on your beverage and they won't.
I'm going to start doing that in my kitchen. Josh, don't touch this. I'll be back.
Don't
Gotta go
touch.
change the laundry.
I do that all the time with Chad. On a side note, I'm like, what? Where's my bacon? We left it on the counter, and I go, did I have your name on?
Yeah. Did I leave it with a note saying take this? No. Oh geez. Thank you so much. I plan to kind of, follow along as always with you and just kind of see how things transpire. I'd love to, do our fourth or fifth podcast appearance in a year or so, and just to kind of keep up, because you may go, you know what? Scratch what I said a year ago. Exactly. None of that worked. Right. Or it's hugely successful and people can model their, programs and stuff after years. So I appreciate you being a guinea pig.
Even better, why doesn't someone come in? You're like, Malinda, what are you doing? Well, I'm relaxing with a martini on the beach because someone came in and did all this stuff for me. And they're like, no, you go relax. I got you.
They heard my cry on the podcast. So
they got me. So now I'm like, they're like, you want to go somewhere again? All right, go ahead. Bring me back something.
Well, I will link up all of your social media handles, but most people can follow you on Instagram and Facebook at Autism Masterminds, right? Mastermind.
Mastermind. Yeah.
And their podcast, she and Vanessa.
Autism Mastermind. We just did a new logo and we're doing a website. So we're still trying to figure that out. We're fancy. Like we're fancying it up this year. We're fancy. Okay. So, and then we put out a podcast every other week because people don't want to hear us every week. And
you'll probably don't want to hear me every week either. That's why I take a summer break.
I know. And then the samesies, and plus I needed time off. But it's, Vanessa and I talking about our lives and our adult lives. And plus we have, just like you, we have people on that are professionals in the field talking more now about adult services and things. Yeah. So we have one coming up next week that's really good. So
nice. So more talk is needed, especially on this topic.
No, and just like you were saying, like you get little bits out of different things. That's what we hope for, is that one person can get something. So, and then if you are local to San Diego, we have a Facebook group that we kind of share information. It's the same name as Autism Masterminds. So if you're local, even if you're not local,
I like following it just so that I learn about programs that we don't have.
Learn about different things. So now I think we're over 300 people in there now, which is awesome. So we share ideas and, resources and things like that. And we do have, we have meetings every once in a while, maybe a professional or just us as parents kind of thing. And then that's it. Yeah. Paige's Pantry, which is the food's on hold right now, but we're still doing our thing.
I love that nonprofit. That was such a great idea. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much. And I always appreciate you and so many others just sharing everything, the good, the bad, the honest, because I'm sure there are parents listening with 7, 8, 9-year-olds who this doesn't relate to them just yet, but I feel like all of us feel it's like our obligation to share what we know for the future for them. They can take what they need from it, discard what they don't. But I feel like I owe it to the people coming up behind us to tell them everything I know, because I wish I would have had that when Skylar was little. And now that he's an adult, I'm still feeling like I'm trying to navigate this by myself with the help of the moms that I've met. So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing.
You're welcome. I love talking to you anytime I'm available.
My birthday twin. We have the same birthday, by the way, everyone.
And I keep telling everybody I just turned 65 and they're like, wow, really?
You look great.
5.
Thanks, Malinda.
You're welcome. All right.